Hey guys, my name's Andrew. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 awesome things to do off the beaten path in Los Angeles. Stick around, there's lots of fun to come, some great tips, let's get stuck into it. Alright guys, as I said at the start of the video, my name's Andrew. I'm bringing you guys a video from my recent trip to Los Angeles. It was my first ever trip to the States, my first trip overseas by myself, and I spent a lot of time researching for this trip before I went over, and there was basically a whole bunch of things that I wanted to try and do. Really had to try and cram them all into 7 days, and unfortunately a lot of the things that I really wanted to go and do I just couldn't quite fit into the schedule. It's such a big city. Everyone had told me that before I went over there, and it's not until you get over there and experience it that you realize how big the place is, how spread out everything is, how long it takes to get from A to B. So I thought I would share with you guys 5 things that I found over there that you don't normally see in all of the YouTube videos that you look up on things to do in Los Angeles. You know, everything is always, Griffith Observatory, which I didn't get to go and do, but looks amazing. So it's always Griffith Observatory, last Bookstore, Hollywood Sign, Hollywood Stars. Just basically the same 7 or 8 things get repeated in all of the the travel videos for Los Angeles. So I thought I'd share with you guys a few things that I found over there. Some of them were things that I'd already planned on going to before I went over. Some of the things my friends suggested to me on Facebook, and also one of my friends over there who lives in Los Angeles helped me out with a bunch of stuff as well. So it's good to know someone in the city before you go there as well, get some good tips from them. But we're going to start the 5 things to do in Los Angeles off the beaten path with a journey to Hollywood, which I know it sounds counterintuitive doing 5 things off the beaten path and we're in Hollywood, but anyway. This first place is just incredible. It's called the Museum of Death, the Hollywood Museum of Death. It's on Hollywood Boulevard, but it's not in the thick of the strip where things like the Chinese Theater and all of the Hollywood and Highland and all of the the really touristy things are. It's a bit further down Hollywood Boulevard. It's probably, I don't know, I walked and it probably took me about half an hour or so to walk, so you could probably jump in an Uber and get there in 2 minutes, but it's the Hollywood Museum of Death, and unfortunately you can't take a camera or any filming stuff in, so it's pretty brutal. So when you get in, you pay your $12, which is awesome, it's really cheap. You hand over all of your bag and everything with your cameras and all that sort of stuff in it, and then you go in one door, and it's like a big round, it's like an old house that's been converted into a museum, and you go in one door, you walk through all of the exhibits, and then you end up back in the gift shop and the ticket office where you began the journey. Now apparently the exhibits in the museum change all the time. A bit of Googling, I saw that a few years ago they had the wreck of the car that Jane Mansfield was killed in. So things like that. So the first room that you walk in, to give you an idea, is filled with a whole bunch of serial killer paraphernalia. A lot of drawings and correspondence. They've got loose leaf folders full of prison correspondence from people like John Wayne Gacy, Richard Ramirez. I can't remember off the top of my head, but if you've got a morbid slightly morbid and macabre fascination like I do, I'm fascinated by serial killers and things that are a bit squeamish on the stomach, then you'd really enjoy the Hollywood Museum of Death. It's well worth the money. I mean, I think I was in there for about an hour and a half, and I probably could have spent at least 2 hours in there just reading everything, taking everything in. It's a lot to take in. Some of it's pretty confronting, but yeah, it's amazing. You have to experience it. If you've got a strong stomach, I definitely recommend the Hollywood Museum of Death. All right, now the second recommendation that I've got for you is in Hollywood as well, and from memory it's on Sunset Boulevard. It is Amoeba Music. I think Amoeba has been around for close to 20 years in Hollywood now, and it's the biggest music store I've ever been to. I'm a massive music fan. I'm a huge punk rock, heavy metal, rock and roll fan, but I do listen to a whole broad range spectrum of music, and everything is covered in Amoeba Music. It's incredible. And once again, I wasn't allowed to film inside, so you'll have to excuse the lack of footage for these couple of tips. But it's overwhelming, really. Like, you could literally spend all day in there. I was in there for a couple of hours, and my budget and time was restricted. I could have spent thousands of dollars in there on the vinyl, LP records, EPs. They've got memorabilia, so like old school steel lunch boxes, stickers, badges, shirts, everything that you can imagine to do with music. They've got a massive blues room, a huge classical section, and from everything that I've seen online as well, is basically people who live close to Amoeba go there every day, because the people are just constantly donating and selling them their secondhand records, and the special bins and things like that are constantly updated, even a couple times a day. So for a massive sensory overload, if you're a music fan, definitely take a few dollars and take a few hours out of your trip. Go to Amoeba Music. You won't regret it. It's amazing. Guys, while we're talking about Hollywood, I'll give you another quick 2 power tips. There's a coffee shop on Sunset Boulevard called Phil's Coffee. I think it's a chain of coffee shops that are in Los Angeles, possibly throughout California. But the one that I found on Sunset, just up the road from Amoeba Records, they've got a bunch of power outlets, and as long as you buy a coffee, or in my case it was really hot out, so I got myself an iced tea, they let you sit there for as long as you want and charge your phone, charge your devices. So I sat there for a couple of hours and let my phone recharge and recharge my power bank. And while I was there, I thought I'd hit up my friend who I mentioned just before for something to do at night in Hollywood, because I was staying so far away from Hollywood. I wanted to try and do as much as I could in that part of town while I was there on that particular day. So she got back to me and said, "You're in luck. It's a Thursday night. There's a place called Black Rabbit Rose. It's a really swish, kind of swanky bar on Hollywood Boulevard. But on Thursday nights, which was the day that I was there, Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit hosts the jazz night." Now, I was like, I got to check this out. I got to check out Old Man Greybeard, Fred Durst hosting jazz night in LA. I got there and I was in my, I was in my tourism, my tourist clothes, like I was dressed in shorts and I had a backpack and just a plain t-shirt, and it clearly wasn't the kind of place where you could get in looking like I was at the time. So unfortunately I couldn't go and check that out. But if you're in Hollywood on a Thursday night, I would highly recommend you go and check out Fred Durst Jazz Night and let me know what it's all about. It just sounds incredible. So there you go. There's a quick little couple of power tips for you. Let's get on to the next tip, which is tip number 3 for things to do off the beaten path in Los Angeles. Number 3 of the things to do off the beaten path in Los Angeles for me, and I highly recommend for you as well if you're a beer lover, is check out the amazing craft beer scene that they've got in Los Angeles. If you are a craft beer fan, you'll know all about San Diego and other parts of California, and also obviously places like a little bit further north in Oregon as well. But LA has actually got a really cool beer scene too. So I went and checked out 2 breweries in Torrance, which was close to where I was staying, which is a fair way from where the hub of most things are in LA, but I just happened to be close to the brewery, so I thought I'd go and check them out. I went and checked out Monkish, which is got a tiny little tap room, and then it opens up and you go in and you drink in the actual production facility. Their beers, they specialize in doing like real dank kind of hazy IPAs, things like that. I had their classic, which is the Foggy Windows IPA, a hazy IPA, super juicy, really good beer. I had a few of them, and the guys at Monkish were really cool too. They, as soon as they heard the accent, obviously they wanted to have a chat, and yeah, Monkish is a really cool place. I picked up a really awesome little enamel badge from them too, a little memento for the tour. And then the next spot is just around the corner, Smog City. Smog City is probably one of the most popular breweries in LA, and it's just fantastic. Their beers are incredible. I happened to be there for the release of one of their limited release beers called the Typo Positive. Being, well, as I said before, like a metal fan, I had to check out a beer called Typo Positive, obviously Typo Negative. And from memory, I haven't written it down in front of me, but it was like a boysenberry sour. I'll write on the screen what it was, but it was incredible. So yeah, on top of the breweries, there's a whole stack all throughout Los Angeles. I didn't get to check them all out, obviously. I managed to check a few venues out. So when I was in Venice, I went and checked out the Venice Ale House, and I had the El Segundo Brewing Company IPA, and I had another beer there as well. I can't remember, but Venice Ale House, right on the boardwalk or the Strand or whatever it's called at Venice Beach. That's an amazing place to go and have a beer in the afternoon, watch the sunset. Highly recommend that. And the other spot that I went to was the Surly Goat in West Hollywood, which instantly became my favorite bar in the world. My friend Heidi, who I mentioned before, she works there behind the bar, so I couldn't go for a trip to LA without popping in and seeing her at work. And what was meant to be 2 or 3 beers turned into more like 15 and shots, and it was just crazy. And their beer selection is out of this world. I mean, beers that I can only dream of being available at that price in Australia. So 100%, if you enjoy any kind of beer, you have to go and check out the beer and brewery scene in Los Angeles. It's on the up and up, and I can't speak more highly of it. So go get stuck into some Los Angeles beer. Alright, number 4 on the list is a place called Stories Bookstore. It's near Echo Park, and as I said earlier in the video, a lot of YouTubers tend to go to a place in downtown LA called The Last Bookstore, which once again I didn't get to go and visit, but I do hear is incredible. On this trip I went and checked out this place called Stories Bookstore. It's a really cute little bookstore. It's on Sunset Boulevard again, I'm pretty sure, which is a recurring theme in Los Angeles because it's a massive street. But this place is it's small, but there's a whole ton of amazing books in there from all sorts of different genres. They've got a little coffee shop, so you can go and order a coffee, and we went and sat out the back. They've got a beautiful, cute little courtyard, so you could, go there, buy a book, order a coffee, sit out in the sun in the courtyard out the back, and it's just a great little spot. One of those kind of like locals only kind of places that you just don't hear about in any of these other kind of videos. The other really cool thing that they have there that we found were these old postcards. Now, we spent probably 15 minutes, half an hour, probably closer to half an hour going through these boxes of these old postcards. They're in fantastic condition, and the really cool thing about these postcards is that they've all got the writing on the back. 99% of them have got the writing. So this one here is Old Veteran, Cypress Point Lobos, Carmel Bay, California, and it's dated 1948. And this other one here is King's Chapel, Boston, Massachusetts, and it's dated 1923. There was a couple of other ones that we found that were dated all the way back to the very early 1900s. I think we might have even found one pre-1900. But it's really cool. I mean, you know, we went there, had a coffee out the back, almond latte and one of their cookies, and then browsed through these postcards. It was just a really lovely little afternoon in a really quaint little bookstore. So do go and check out the last bookstore in downtown, but also remember there's a whole bunch of other places that are off the beaten path. Just walk in the door and you never know what's around the next corner. So Stories Bookstore near Echo Park in Los Angeles, go and check it out. Alright, number 5 on the list of things to do off the beaten path in Los Angeles is Six Flags Fright Fest. Now, Six Flags is one of the massive roller coaster theme parks that they've got close to Los Angeles. And I happened to be there in the week leading up to Halloween, which meant that the Fright Fest was on at Six Flags. And basically, the story leading up to this was I was spending the afternoon at the La Brea Tar Pits. Yeah, you know, like massive into my history and archaeology and stuff. And my friend Heidi messaged me out of the blue and was like, "Hey, what's up? What are you doing?" And you know, I was like, "Oh, just at the Tar Pits." She's like, "Cool. Do you want to go to Six Flags?" And my money was starting to run a little bit low at this point, but I was just like, after about half an hour thinking, I was like, you know what? Let's go and do it. So her and I jumped on a bus, went out to Six Flags around about 6 o'clock, just in time for the opening of Fright Fest. So what they do is you have to buy a ticket for it. Basically, if you've bought a daytime ticket, you can't get in at night. You have to buy a Fright Fest ticket. And the park is all opened up at night, so all of the rides are open. And then there's like this awesome, you know, like dry ice smoke that's like goes throughout the whole park. So there's like this fake mist everywhere, and they unleash all of these zombies and witches and evil clowns and all these amazing evil characters, and everyone stays in character for the whole night. They scare the absolute crap out of you sometimes. But the roller coasters at that place are off the scale. As I said earlier, it was my first overseas trip by myself. So the biggest roller coaster that I'd ever been on was just up the road here, on the Gold Coast at Movie World. That was the Superman roller coaster, and I thought that was the best roller coaster ever. And the lamest roller coaster that we went on at Six Flags is probably 50 times better than the Superman roller coaster at Movie World. It was absolutely insane. I had the time of my life there. It was one of the best nights I've ever had in my life. On top of the roller coasters they've got, I think they had about 7 or 8 haunted mazes set up as well. That was a whole heap of fun. It's just, yeah, it's unbelievable. So if you guys are over there in the month or so leading up to Halloween, I know all of the other theme parks do something similar as well. So Universal, Knott's Berry, and then I think Disney do some form of Halloween stuff as well. They're normally open until later at night, but these other parks do these really awesome haunted mazes and you know, things, people in character all throughout the park. I think Knott's Berry this year had like maybe a Walking Dead thing, Ghostbusters. But the Fright Fest at Six Flags, coupled with the absolute insanity of the roller coasters, is definitely something you have to go and check out. If you can get over there around about the month leading up to Halloween, the weather's perfect as well. So you just like, the crowds aren't huge because it's off-peak season. So I can't speak any more highly of going to Fright Fest at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Alright, so that was the 5 things off the beaten path to do in Los Angeles. If you've made it this far into the video and you're still watching, I've got something a little bit special for you. Not super special, but it's a little bonus tip. I would recommend, if you are in Los Angeles, that you get down to check out the beachside suburbs. So I stayed at North Redondo, which is near Redondo Beach and Manhattan Beach. I walked from the Airbnb, took me about 45 minutes to walk down to the beach at Manhattan Beach, and as soon as I walked into the sort of, once you started getting to like the beachside area of that place, I just fell in love. It was absolutely beautiful. The weather was spectacular. There's amazing little boutique shops, bars, restaurants, cafes, a couple of like really, you know, like authentic divey kind of American bars as well. I had a beer at a place called Brewco, which is basically on 150 meters from the pier at Manhattan Beach. Just beautiful, a really spectacular part of the world. So if you can, I would highly recommend to get away from, you know, like Hollywood and Beverly Hills and that part of the world for at least one day out of your trip. Get down to Manhattan Beach. That area, you've got Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, El Segundo, what else you got down there? Marina del Rey, and Redondo Beach as well. So a whole bunch of movies get filmed in those areas too. Like if you're a fan of the OC, there's a whole bunch of the OC that was filmed around Redondo, Manhattan Beach. So, you know, I still highly recommend you go and check out Santa Monica and Venice Beach, because those places are mind-blowing and incredible. But definitely get off the beaten path, go down to Manhattan Beach, Hermosa, Redondo, El Segundo, check it out. The really cool beachside surfy suburbs with a lot to offer. Really cool coffee shops, and the coffee, by the way, is really good in LA too. I mean, I have worked as a barista in Australia. The coffee's really good here, but I didn't have a bad cup of coffee in LA. So yeah, definitely get off the beaten path as much as you can. Go and check out some coffee shops, little boutique stores, independent shops. There's a whole stack of stuff to do in LA. This is just scratching the surface of it. I'll hopefully be back once this whole coronavirus pandemic is over and I've saved money again. I'm definitely going back to LA. Definitely going to get some more footage this time and put together another video of some rad stuff that I find the next time I'm in LA. Until then, thanks for watching all the way to the end, guys. Really appreciate it. Do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Send me leave a comment and I'll subscribe back as well. Really love, you know, this whole YouTube community and what it's doing for everyone, and appreciate you big time for following me all the way to the end of the video. Thanks guys, peace out, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.